Let's call this March 17th school board meeting to order. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Take roll.
Colonel Evans?
Here.
Mr. Grozan?
Here.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Here.
Mr. Micko?
Here.
Mr. Naso?
Here.
All present.
Stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, district goals. We always state our goals at every meeting. Student achievement, number 1, supported by financial prudence. Everything on our agenda speaks to that. There's a couple of key items that we're going to talk about tonight that speak to both as usual. So with that, we'll move on to recognition.
We have no recognition tonight, Mr. Naso.
All right, let's move to donations.
For the donation, I am going to go to the podium and I ask Vice President of Southwest General, Al Mattis, to join me. It's my honor and privilege to be here with you tonight to share our next lead donor in our Excellence with Athletics campaign. As we've shared throughout, we've been able to make progress on this project due to the outstanding partnerships we have with our local community businesses. So we have 2 recommendations for your consideration tonight. The first is the recommendation that the donation in the amount of $75,000 be accepted from Southwest General Health Center as a part of our Excellence and Athletics campaign. Also, I am recommending to the board that we enter into a service agreement listed in Exhibit B, that it's approved for licensed athletic training services by and between Southwest General Health Center and Strongsville Board of Education. Because of the wonderful support of Southwest General, who has provided our athletic training services, Al, for 2 decades now, and through this agreement, we'll make it 3 decades for the next 10 years. Due to their partnership, their dedication to our city, their dedication to our student athletes and our district, this contract will save the district $212,104 over a 10-year period, and that money will go into our Excellence with Athletics campaign for a total donation valuing $287,104. This is a shining example of what Southwest General and our local community and businesses and health facilities do on behalf of the students of our district. So I would like to introduce Al, who would like to say a few words, and on behalf of myself, our district, and our students, thank you so much for your generosity.
As Mr. Ryba had said, we have been a multiple decade partner with the Strongsville City Schools, and this was just a opportunity to solidify our commitment not only to the school system, but also to the community. And I'd just like to say that it has been a pleasure to work with Mr. Ryba and Mr. Smithberger and Mr. Jalwan to make this sponsorship possible. It's been a strong team approach, and we're glad to be able to do this and to make sure that Southwest General is committed to the community and the school system for a long time, as we plan to be. So on behalf of our President and CEO, Bill Young, and the rest of the administration at Southwest General and the Board of Trustees, I just want to also wish the board continued success with the Excellence in Athletics program and all your future fundraising. Thank you.
Huge contribution. Thank you so much. Yeah, nice job. Thank you.
Thank you again. It was wonderful.
Thank you. We look forward to the next 10 years.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Mr. Naso, with that, we do need to vote on 6A, which is the $75,000 donation, which the donation agreement can be found in Exhibit A.
Excellent. Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Thank you, George. Thank you, Duke, for the second. Any further discussion?
It's almost Easter.
Can we have a vote?
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next, we need to take a vote on the athletic training agreement, which is found in Exhibit B.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second by Duke. Any further discussion?
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
I just wanted to point out, thanks to someone in the audience, the document says that the second trainer is at Albion Middle School. Is that a placeholder?
It's just a middle school, so yes, it's just for the middle school, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that, as we look at these, when we started this excellence in athletics drive and we started pushing for these turf fields, it's just amazing who the people have stepped forward to help us with this project. And as we're going to get an update shortly, it's going to be evident that we're getting there, and we're getting really close to being there. And it's so amazing to see the community step up and believe in us and our partners that we've had for so long, Southwest General and Serpentini, and so many of the others that we're going to announce shortly. It's an amazing thing, and we're going to get this done. And we just got to keep pushing, and we're going to get there. So with that, let's take a vote.
Mr. Grozen?
Yes.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Al, and thank you, Southwest. And I've met with Bill, the new CEO, a couple of times, and just a wonderful guy and a wonderful leader for Southwest, and thrilled to have them a part as a partnership with the school district as well as their active partnership with the city. So thank you again to Southwest. With that, Mr. Naso, I'll move to my report to the community. Just a few updates this evening. First of all, we have kindergarten registration that is going on this week. Tomorrow is the final day for Whitney Elementary School. So as you may remember, we had a full-day kindergarten meeting. We had full-day kindergarten intent. However, this is the week where everybody needs to register officially for kindergarten. So as of right now, just to give you some updates, we had 178 kindergartners register with 4 of the 5 schools. We have 34 total register for Chapman, 60 kindergartners register for Kinsner, 46 for Maraski, 38 so far for Sarar, and Whitney will be tomorrow. So at this time of year, for the first week, we usually get a lot of registration throughout the later spring months and summer, but we're excited to see the number of kindergarten students that are here. And this is the first time we've been in the same building as kindergarten registration, so it's been great to be able to see our families and our newest students excited and ready to go to school. So I'll keep you updated, but as we take a look at half-day kindergarten numbers and full-day kindergarten numbers, the difficulty is going to be we still right now have more full-day kindergartners signed up than spots available. Mr. Anagnostou, I believe letters will go out shortly as to placements, correct?
Yes. I think I'm looking at Don.
That's right. We do need to talk, but we are finalizing those letters, and they should be out shortly, so our families will know exactly what building they are going to attend for full-day kindergarten, or if they're on the wait list and where they are on the wait list. So we'll have those out to families shortly.
Cameron, if I could ask a couple questions?
Sure.
It's no secret that I'm an advocate for full-day kindergarten for our children. I think every educator and administrator is. How many classrooms or students can we accept for the full-day program at this point? How we allocated? How much space have we allocated for those kids?
Right now, we've allocated 5 classrooms, 5 full-day sections, 1 at every building. We can accept, if the numbers get great enough, Kinsner would be the building where we would have the room to add a second full-day kindergarten. And right now, Kinsner has the most full-day kindergarten signed up. Right now, we have 44 that have registered for full-day kindergarten that would go to Kinsner if we would have the enrollment to add a 6th section. But right now, we We'll hold at 5. We send out the letters. We wait to see how many people respond and confirm. Sometimes when you say, you know, you're a Maraski parent, but we're going to send you to Sarar for full-day kindergarten, they say, you know what, I'm okay, I'll go to half-day. So those are some of the things that will happen during the early month of April, and then I can come back to the board and give a closer official count. And I'll look at Dawn as she's shaking her head in the back for me, but last year we had about 25 or 30 students on the wait list, and by the time school started, we had no students on the wait list. So we do need to give ourselves a little buffer for what we found over the last 2 years, the natural attrition of students back to half-day.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
We had what, 125 was our limit?
125 is our limit, correct?
Okay, and so if you added the sixth session, we go to 150?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. The other exciting thing is, if you remember a few board meetings ago, I shared with the parents and community that we went to InfoStamp, which was an online registration program. And so kindergarten registration was our first opportunity to use that. And we had 192 kindergarten parents register before even walking through the door. So it was outstanding. We had our technology department did a great job. They had this room set up with Chromebooks and support for those parents that needed to use our technology to register. But it was a pretty seamless process, and it was a good test run for us prior to rolling it out to all parents this summer and fall.
How many?
192.
So that means that they've filled out all their emergency forms and all that, so they will not be getting that paperwork at the beginning of the school year because.
Residency, all the things that you need to fill out for kindergarten, so your residency forms, your information, your address, demographics, all of that's in the system and ready to go.
I thought we only had 178 registered for kindergarten.
We have another school tomorrow,
Oh, okay.
so we've got one school that's left, yeah.
Is this like a Democratic election here? Is this
That's
like
right.
the Clinton campaign?
No, we've got another school tomorrow, so we will see how many we get tomorrow for Whitney.
Okay, excellent. That's great news.
Yeah, it is great news. Just also wanted to announce, it will be coming out in, we'll have a new construction newsletter that will be in our e-blast tomorrow. But as you know, and Mr. Donnelly's announced in the past, we have walkthroughs for our buildings that will be closing, starting Tuesday, April 5th for Drake, April 12th for Albion, and April 19th for Center. All of those are 5 to 7 p.m. Based on our feedback that we received, there was a request for a Saturday visit. So we've added a Saturday visit on April 23rd from 12 to 3 p.m., and all 3 buildings will be open at that time. So Drake, Albion, and Center will all be open for walkthroughs. So for those that cannot make the Tuesday evenings, they'll have another opportunity on Saturday to reminisce with their former classmates and walk through the buildings one last time.
And what time are the Saturday ones?
Saturday is noon to 3.
Noon to 3.
Noon to 3, the rest are 5 to 7.
I think that's been in the paper as well, the Post, hasn't it?
The 5 to 7 has, the noon to 3 we just announced last week, so I'm sure Ann will have it in there this week.
Thanks, Andy.
Just a reminder that early release day is tomorrow, so that means everybody will be arriving home 1 hour earlier than the normal schedule or ready for pickup. Tomorrow, the focus of our day for our teachers is continued curriculum work, getting ready. I know Jenny's working with some of our teachers to prepare for our honors classes in the middle school as we look at 6th grade moving up. We have other grade levels that are working on assessment development and other curricular work that we've been doing throughout the past couple months. So it's a very productive day we have planned for tomorrow, and just a reminder that for our parents, spring break will start 1 hour earlier than the normal schedule as students will be arriving home. And that leads to the last item is wish everybody on the board and our parents and staff and community a wonderful spring break. Again, the district for students will be closed next week, March 21st through the 25th, and we will be back open on March 28th for a long haul of April and May until we get to May 20th, the last day of school. So unless there's any questions, that concludes my report to the community.
Thank you very much. We don't have any public comment tonight. I don't see any slips anywhere. That moves the approval of the minutes. We have the February 4th and February 18th minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Duke.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any discussion? Take a vote.
Just to say that Dawn does a good job on those. You do a good job in those minutes.
Thank you. Dawn?
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Item 10, Treasurer's Report.
All right, happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. The first item I have, Exhibit C, is the financial report for the month ending February 29th, 2016. Try something different tonight rather than go to the podium. We got a wireless projector and we'll try and do it from here, so I'm gonna log in.
Nice work. Got
Um,
skills.
What's that?
You got skills.
A little bit. So district goals, student achievement and growth, and financial prudence. Financial report falls under financial prudence. Speaking of financial prudence, this is just the chart of our current cost savings and historical cost savings over the last few years that we've been showing every presentation. The general fund summary. I do realize this is a little harder to see for those in the community. The same graph and bigger is in the exhibit, in Exhibit C in the board agenda, so you can see a little bit better, but just some main points. On the revenues, our revenues are $500,000 more through February compared to last year. Primary reason for that is the tax advancements through February have come in about 1.5 million higher, and it's being offset by the TPP reimbursement that we're going to get through the state that would have normally come through February or through November. Hasn't been received yet. Hoping to receive that from the state in next month. And then also for expenditures, we're about 300,000 more through February compared to last year. Big differences there. Salaries and benefits are down compared to last year. And then in other objects, as you recall, last board meeting, the board approved the 1.1 million transfer to Fund 35, and last year that was done in June. So those are the two big differences. And then also talk a little bit more on taxes in another slide. Revenues. In the October forecast, $71.7 million in revenue was projected in the general fund. Through February, we received $59.2 million of revenues, or 82.5% of the total. Currently, through February, revenues are trending on target. Earlier this week, I did receive a little bit of information from the county. We did get our final tax settlement for this year. Still kind of going through reconciling it. The numbers will be reflected in the March report. So overall, we netted about an increase about 500,000. Our real property tax collections came in about $1.5 million more than projected, and our TIF revenues, I projected $3 million. We received $2.1 million. Part of my projection was basing it off what we received last year. Didn't realize last year included a delinquent, so it was a little overestimated, but between the two, we netted out about 500,000. And the increase in the general collections attributed to three things. Delinquencies, 855,000. We had a slight valuation change, which contributed to about 200,000. And our collection rate increased from last year about, just in this half collection, about close to 2%. So that resulted about 500,000. So that was the big differences there.
Okay.
So I'll have the chart updated for March, as that's when those revenues came in. Revenues by category, as you can see through February, everything is coming in on target compared to the previous 2 years. Expenditures.
George, what's the other revenues?
Other revenues, it's the TIF dollars are included in the other revenues. Any dollars received for kindergarten tuition, they pay to participate, fines. It's a whole list of them, drawing a blank.
Okay, but we're
The
we're about halfway through. We expect more to come in on that.
The other revenues.
The other TIF, is that what the difference is?
Well, the other revenues, right now, it's on par, through February it was on par, but it's gonna be $1 million less compared to next month. So so far, through February, we received $2 million, we got the $1 million in the other. Last year at that same
I'm
point in
looking
time.
at the line item that says that you were projected at 520, and we've gotten 210.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was one slide ahead. So you're on slide 7?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Under 310.
I was on the other slide. So the TIF was projected at $3 million. Through February, we received $1 million, and then March, we received the other $1 million. So that's gonna be about 2.1, so that's gonna be 900,000.
You're still off from what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the line item under revenues, it's other revenues.
Okay,
520 versus 209, see it?
yeah, so that includes, our excess costs that we receive for the state in catastrophic aid, SF4 tuition, those are, that's broken out from. I have to see what that includes in.
Okay, but my question is, are we gonna get the balance of it before the end of the year?
We should.
Okay.
Our fiscal year starts in July, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you're showing us the actual, or the
Right.
forecast, which is 12 months worth of expenses and revenue.
Right.
And you're still receiving revenue as we're going in. We're 9 months, 8 months into a 12-month period.
Correct.
And that's why we're showing negatives, okay?
Right. Yeah, so far, through February, everything was trending on target, and even the taxes, where one bucket was less, the other bucket's more. The remaining revenues, so far, it's trending on target. The other revenues, I'll provide a breakdown. I have the tuition broken out, the pay to participate broken out. There's just some miscellaneous stuff that we get that.
That's not necessary. I was just
Okay.
wondering where the other half was coming and when it was coming from.
Right, okay. So revenues by category, as mentioned, they're all, it's in comparison to the previous 2 years. General fund expenditures, through February, 66.7 of the total appropriation of 71.4 million has been expended and encumbered. A statistical spending range of 8 of 12 months have passed rate 68% of the fiscal year, and 17 of 25 pays, or 66.7%, have passed. Overall, the 66.71 expenditure level is where it should be for this time of year. Expenditures through February, the chart on the left shows the percent that's been expended or encumbered. As you can see, salaries and benefits, it's right, the same percentage has been right where it has through February. The other categories somewhat vary based on the timing of when invoices are paid and the materials are needed. And then expenditures by category, that just shows the overall dollars. So you can see salaries are slightly less than last year, and then benefits kind of right around the same, and the other categories are relative to each other as well. General fund cash balance, we received $14 million more of revenue over expenses through February, leaving us an ending cash balance of $26.7 million and an unencumbered cash balance of $23.9. The chart on the right, the $26.7 million cash balance, it's at our highest point over the last 2 years through February. Student fee balances. Through March 7th, we have 1,146 students with outstanding fees for which represents $120,045. Of this amount, 47,000 or 39% is for the current year, and the remaining 61% or 72,000 is for prior years.
Are there any other actions we can take on those prior year delinquents?
The one thing I'm gonna try to do is start reaching out to families that have a balance and see if they're interested in some sort of payment plan. Right now, their pass is turned off. They can't walk at graduation if they become at the senior level. Right now, those are the only two two things we have, and with the pass account, I believe, is the report cards as well for the parent access. So over the winter, we tried to send out a letter encouraging families to pay, try to put a payment plan. Only heard back from a few, but over the summer, try to be a little bit more aggressive. We have a little bit of downtime on our end.
I think, George, and I could be corrected if I'm wrong, but we have a legal precedent here where the student did appeal and was allowed to walk for graduation. However, I believe it's within Ohio law that we can withhold transcripts. Is that
Correct.
Correct. So we have the ability to hold a student from walking, but
I don't believe that there was a precedent set that allowed the person to walk. I believe there was an injunction issue.
You're allowed to get a
that covered-
temporary restraining order.
Yeah, there was an injunction issue. It doesn't mean that they were allowed to walk. So, I mean, we have every right to prevent children from walking. The person issued an injunction on the day before graduation that permitted them, that delayed the proceedings, so this person was able to walk. And there'll always be legal maneuvering that you can do. But the right thing to do is to pay your bill. I mean, these are fees that, you know, when you don't pay your fees, right? And I get it, some people are struggling, let us know. We'll be happy to help you. We'll work out a payment plan. We'll do whatever we can do for you. But if you're just not paying, that's just wrong, okay? These are fees that can be used for other children to do other things, and it's time to pay the bill, okay? I know it isn't easy. I know it isn't necessarily $120, whatever the fee is at times. It's a lot of money to some families, and I understand that. But we'll work with you. But if you just aren't paying, that's wrong. I mean, there's right and there's wrong and there's legal. This is just wrong. And it's time to pay the bill because you're keeping money from other students and from other things we could do. This is a, you know, a teacher and a half salary. This is things we could be doing. These are programs we could be having, and that's why, you know, Duke brings it up on a regular basis. This is, you know, 120, this is, how many Chromebooks is that? What are they? It's a ton of them. You know, let's just get this done, okay? And if you need help, we'll help you.
I have one question, George.
Sure.
Of the $120,000 balance, have we taken a look at those balances for families with children that have already graduated and out of our district?
Those amounts are not included in this 120,000.
Okay,
Those are written off.
those are written off.
Those are written off. These are for current students that,
Perfect, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to see us, I think all of us would like to see get a lot more, yeah, I know, it's not, a lot more aggressive with the folks that are delinquent over a year's time.
right.
Okay.
Richard, you had a point?
400 Chromebooks.
400 Chromebooks? Thank you. Thank you.
Food service fund. Revenues received through February 29. The chart on the left shows revenues that were actually received through the month, and the chart on the left, or on the right, shows revenues earned through month end. The difference between the 2 months is revenues received, the federal reimbursement's always a month behind from when it was earned. So I kind of broke out the two slides just to show for timing basis. Sometimes it crosses over fiscal years, so just to get a more apples-to-apples comparison. As you can see, revenues are higher through February 29th compared to the past 2 years. A few reasons for this. Last year there were 0 calamity days. Through February we had 7. This year we had 0 calamity days. Last year we had 7 through February, and plus we started the school year 9 days earlier. So there's been 16 additional serving days through this February compared to last year. Next slide, the number of meals served through February 29th. The average meals per day is higher compared to the previous 2 years in the meals served. The average meals per day attributes to mainly the breakfast being in full implementation. Slide 19, the average breakfast per day. It's higher than the previous 2 years at 376 compared to 254. Slide 20, the breakfast participation rate. Last year at this point in time, 4.62. This year, almost doubled to 7.10%. Slide 21, average lunches per day. As you can see from last year to this year, overall we're down about five lunches per day, so it's starting to level off. And the lunch participation rate has increased from last year to this point in time, to this year from 42% to 44.37%. And slide 23 and 20, on the next slide, I kind of did it a little differently from before. What this shows, the chart on the left is the cost per meal through February 29th, and then I also trended out for the rest of the year and kind of forecasted that out to show what it'd be at June 30th. The difference there is once our 9 days for the earlier school year kind of levels off and the revenue stops, we still have expenditures that are going to be going through June, so it's kind of leveling that off. So through February 29th, the cost per meal and the revenue per meal is right about level, where at the end of the year, the cost per meal is going to be slightly higher at $338 compared to the revenue at $320 per meal. And on the next slide is the net loss through February 29th. It's a big change from last year to this year. Right now, or through February, it's about a net loss of $7,000, and forecasted out through the rest of the year, it's projecting to be about $90,000 in the negative. And that concludes the presentation, if there's any questions.
I think going back to slide 7, where we showed that big difference where Duke was asking questions about the $300,000.
Yeah.
It's the revenue slide.
Yeah,
Because this slide, when you look at it, it appears alarming, right? So if somebody looked at this thing as a one-off and you saw that, we had budgeted for 71,000 and we have, actuals are only around 60, so we're down 12 and a half. Maybe there's something we could do with this that would, and it's in green, right? So it indicates that it's all okay, that it's just timing. But when you look at it on its own, maybe we need to have a full year instead of, I don't know if it'd be more meaningful to show this on a full year projected forecasted basis so that we know that on a revenue basis, because I don't think month to month revenue is really not as critical as long as we don't have cash flow problems, which we don't currently. So maybe on this slide should be changed to a full year projection. So
Okay.
Do you think?
Excuse me, sorry
Sure,
to
yeah,
interrupt.
yeah.
Perhaps if you just added fiscal year to date, and that way, no matter what month you're looking at, that's the month of February, or that's the month of May, and they know that that was our proceeds for the year to date, and not the year as a whole, because people are thinking it's the entire fiscal year, the way this is presented.
I'm thinking just add a column that says forecast additional revenue.
Right.
And then you have the
What is this?
forecast, the actual, the additional revenue that's coming in, and then whether we're over or under.
So 16, the first column, the forecast, that's the full year projection?
That's the full year projection.
And then the second column is what we've collected year to date, right?
Correct.
Okay.
But
So-
to Jane's point, if you added a column that said
remaining.
fiscal to date projected to the month, you're taking column 2 and providing a comparison, and so you're not showing a complete negative.
Yeah, you could do it either way. I was just thinking if we just showed a full year projection, we know we're on track for our forecast or our budget. But either way, to Jane's point, is that it is a little, that's the deceiving part of this chart. And I think if we have something in there that just indicates that one is through a certain date, or show the full year projection, so they match up, it'll be a little clearer. Because I would hate for someone to open this up and, without,
Right, now I could do that.
Without
I
some
have the
clear-
information.
okay. Other than that, great
You thought
report.
the green was just for St. Patrick's Day.
I thought so, yeah, that's what it was. I've seen so much of it today. Good job.
Thanks. So moving on to item B, new fund student activity programs, purpose and goals and proposed budgets for fiscal year 16. These are all at the high school. High School Art Club, Fund 200, $4,000. Boys and Girls Lacrosse, Fund 300 at $7,000 each. These are just a fundraising account for these activities. All the other sports have a fundraising activity, and we're just setting them up as to be able to fundraise as well. Item C, amended permanent appropriations. It's Exhibit E. The big changes there, or the changes there, Fund 18 of $3,838 to allow for enough appropriation for a previously approved transfer. Fund 200, $4,357, 4,000 of which is for the art club and 357 to complete a previous approved transfer. The 14,000 and Fund 300 for the boys and girls lacrosse, and Fund 401, the auxiliary service for the parochial schools. We received their final allocation from the state, which was about $40,000 higher than we had budgeted for them. Item D, depository contract extensions, Exhibit F. This is a resolution to extend our current depository contracts from March 31st, 2016 to June 30th, 2016, as we go out for bid. Per Ohio Revised Code, a government entity is required to go out for bid for the depository accounts such as the payroll checking and the accounts payable checking account every 5 years. Ours currently expires March 31st, 2016, and this resolution will extend the current contract through June 30th, which is also on the fiscal year, so it'll give us a timing on that, that it ends at a fiscal year, rather in the middle of the fiscal year. And then moving on to item E, bids for depository contracts, Exhibit G. This is a resolution that will allow us to go out for bids for depository agreements. As mentioned, it's required we go out for bids every 5 years. This will be effective from July 1st, 2016 and end on June 30th, 2021. I plan on coming back to the board for a recommendation on the May 19th regular meeting for the recommended banks or banks. And the last item, invoice order approval. This is for an after-effect purchase order of $3,803 for textbooks purchased from Lorraine Community College for the first semester textbooks of the college credit program. And that concludes my report if there's no questions.
Nope, thank you, nice job.
Thanks.
Superintendent's report?
We are going to switch the order since George is already connected. We're going to talk the cell tower first. So if we remember, a few months ago, I updated the board that we had some informal offers from different companies to purchase the future revenues on the cell tower. So based on the board's authorization, Mark Donnelly went out and officially contacted some various companies. We quickly received a set of offers on purchasing the future revenue. So just as a quick explanation, we have a 30-year lease on a tower, and we're 5 years into that lease, and that lease will end in the year 2041. Also and so we get monthly revenue, which George will go through in a second. We get monthly revenue on from American Tower. We also have co-locators from AT&T that are on there for 30 years. There's a 30-year agreement, and we get revenue. A percentage of that revenue comes to the district on a monthly basis for AT&T. Selling future revenues means a company would come in and give you a lump sum of money now to take over the lease on the AT&T co-locators and the tower for either perpetually, meaning forever, or 99 years. So the idea is you can get a lump sum of money now for your asset, or hang on to that asset and get that monthly revenue stream that's there. So based on the offers that we have gotten for this example, we took the highest offer to go through this example, and I'm going to turn it over to George, who's going to walk through the slides that were handed out on the table and the board has in front of them.
Thanks, Mr. Rybo. As Mr. Rybo mentioned, it was a 30-year ground lease with American Tower, which started in April 2011, which would go to March 2041. The original lease amount was $1,500 per month. That amount escalates 15% every 5 years. The first increase we'll see April of 2016. And with that increase, the fiscal year 17 amount is $1,725 per month for an annual, about $20,700 annual amount. As Mr. Ryman mentioned, American Tower leased a co-locator to AT&T Wireless. The district currently receives 50% of the lease of the co-locator, which escalates 3% annually each year. The fiscal year 17 amount Next year would be about $1,506 per month, or $17,997 annually. The total district annual income, for next year, it's going to be about $38,698. And then I'm also showing fiscal year 40, which is the last full fiscal year. So at its highest point, we'd receive about $71,725. If we present value that back at a 1% interest rate, that represents about $58,000. And then the last fiscal year, 41, which would be a partial year because of it starting in April, would be about $54,000 with a present value of $43,994. We're on slide 3, the future revenues. We have 25 years remaining, starting in fiscal year 17 to 41. The total accumulated income over the 25 years would be about $1.3 million of total dollars. Present valuing that back at a 1% interest rate equates to about $1.2 million. As Mr. Rywood mentioned, we had an offer to buy future revenues through as a perpetual lease through 99 years through 2,115 for a lump sum of $600,000 essentially. We went through and kind of outlined some potential risk. Right now, the ground lease is guaranteed through 2041. So breaking out the ground lease and the co-locator lease, the ground lease, we're at least guaranteed $692,000, $693, guaranteed through the remaining life of the contract. The co-locator lease, $647,000, and that is dependent on the wireless provider, if they continue to stay or if they back out. And just to wrap it up, our two options. Option 1 is continue to receive the annual lease payment, or option 2, do we sell off the future revenues for lump sum payment? And that concludes my presentation.
I was just doing some math.
You looking for comments?
Sure, yes?
Okay, 600,000's too little. I'd say we stick with what we got for right now.
George, just to clarify, this was the highest offer.
I believe so.
Yes, this was the highest
So the
offer.
highest offer was 600,000, which at least one board member, if not all, thinks is way too low. The other thing that I want to highlight is that the co-locator lease revenue, if Tower, what is their name?
American Tower.
If American Tower places additional leases, we share that revenue also.
Correct.
And is it a 50% lease or is it a declining scale?
I believe it's a 50% lease.
Okay. So, I mean, on the face of it, it seems a really good offer if they could get it.
Well, the only way it would make sense to me is if you had a need or an expense that you would use this money to, that would offset a larger growth than the 1%. I mean, if you had a need right now for something that was $700,000, you might consider taking this lease now to offset those future costs. If you could offset future costs with it that exceeded that, but we don't really have that need right now, and that we just keep this in our pocket for now, and if we ever have that need, then we could do it. But I mean, if you had a need that was, greater than that, and you could offset it or eliminate it, then you could consider it, but there's no reason. I did some math on it. I think it's around the rate to get this, the higher their interest rate, the lower the payment, right? So the lower the present value. So if you could invest it today at 2% or 3% or 4%, this number goes down each time, right?
Right.
This $600,000 is around 9 to 10% rate. So that's what they've discounted this thing back at. So it doesn't really make sense unless we had a pressing need that we had to, put it into place for. So I think we just keep hanging it like everyone's thinking, right?
Yep.
Jane, you make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm not in favor of
Okay.
just hold tight.
Hold tight.
Well, we wanted to take the opportunity to follow up on what we started, and as we went through all the simulations and got the official offers, we agreed, George and I spoke, it does not make sense to move forward with it. So we will keep it as an asset of the district that will generate that level of revenue over the life of the contract.
Tell them to come back when they're willing to offer 1.2 mil.
I don't think they will come back.
How about another
They
tower?
can't leave either.
That's right, right. All right, so here's where we go. George, I think you need to disconnect from your presentation. Look at that.
Well, you guys are seamless.
I
These
tell you
guys
what.
Way to go, Vicky.
Yep. Mr. Cook back there has been working with us and has got this all hooked up. We are doing great in here thanks to the tech department, Dwayne's work.
Reminds me of John and his flip phone.
I think that was you, Mr. Nason, with the flip phone.
Oh, yeah, it was.
All right, so we wanted to give an update on our Excellence in Athletics program and campaign. And as we talked about, obviously exciting news with the Southwest donation this evening. And we are getting to the final weeks of our campaign prior to the board recommendation. As we talked about last time, this is a repeat as to really this is a need for our district, a need for our community to move us to where we want to go. It is not a want or a nice to have. As we've talked about our local or surrounding communities, the ability to have access to our facilities for both our district and community. We are closing near the goal of our project, and we have a few weeks to make a final push to make this project a reality for our students and community. Just to update the sponsorship opportunities, as we've talked about, we've sold the high school field naming rights, scoreboard sponsor. We have also sold the concession stand, and we've added selling the bleacher section sponsor. So we still have some end zone sponsors available, varsity team room, and another concession stand and another locker room, as well as some of the other signage. We've sold many of the Mustang Club, Varsity Club, First Team, and Quarterback Club, but those are not limited, so those are still available based on his donation levels. So what we'd like to share today is last time we met, we were with commitments and some verbal offers. We were a little over 700,000. So in the last few weeks, we have exceeded the $1 million mark in our campaign. And as you can see, and it bears mentioning one more time, the donations thus far, our athletic boosters have committed $20,000 to the project. The Catan family, $100,000. GPD, that's a new donation. Our architect has committed $10,000 to our project. Strongsville Lacrosse has donated $20,000. Local donations, a little over $7,000. A credit, if we go with the synthetic turf, will be $150,000. Music boosters have committed $10,000. Serpentini, as we know, is $310,000 in cash and $100,000 in automobiles to be raffled off. Shoreline Trucking is a new partner for $5,000. Southwest, as we learned today, for their generous donation. Our administrative team, nearly $2,000 in donation, and our PTAs, nearly $4,000 in donations, giving us a total of $1,025,000, or 57% of our projected project. So we have a few weeks left, and it goes to the final slide tonight, is the timeline for the project. Our project has gone out to bid, which means various construction field turf firms are taking a look at the project, making official bids. So when we say $1.8 million, that is a construction estimate. We feel it's a pretty reliable construction estimate, but it is an estimate. So the construction bidding process closes on March 30th. All bids are done, they're open, they're reviewed, and then from that point to April 4th, it's called a scope review. That means Hammond Construction, our construction manager at risk, will review those. They will do a scope review, which means is everything in the bid included in the price that they've given us. And on April 4th, they will be able to share a real dollar amount to the board and to the district as to how much these fields will cost. Will it cost the full $1.8 million? Will it be a little over? Will it be a little under? We will know that on April 4th. And then based on that timeline, on April 7th, we will have another presentation to the board of our donation campaign as to where we're at financially with the fundraising efforts. And there will be a recommendation and discussion on April 7th where the board will have a series of decisions that will impact whether or not we go forward with the project of installing synthetic turf at the high school, as well as installing synthetic turf at the middle school. So we will spend time on the 7th discussing that, and the board will have the final decision on how we move forward with the project.
Cameron, question for you. On the middle school
Yes.
project, as of right now, we do not have a signed contract. We do not have anyone for naming rights on the middle school.
Correct.
So we are currently looking for a company to have naming rights at our middle school, and we've even talked internally about some sort of signage on Pearl Road, which is a massive amount of traffic, massive amount of exposure for that field. So it'd be wonderful if we could find someone who would have some naming rights for that field.
We have that signage designed, just ready to put the right person's name on it.
Perfect, thank you.
Excellent. And one other point on that scope review, that's also, it's not only Hammond, but it's RFC, right? Our owner's
RFC,
agent.
GPD, they
all
all, RFC,
participate
Hammond
in-
sit down together, take a look
Okay.
at it, make sure everybody's comfortable with the price.
Don't forget my flagpole.
You gotta go get it.
Yes, sir. Any other questions on the presentation?
Nope, nice job.
Thank you. With that, we will turn it over to Mark Donnelly for his business service update. Mark, do you have a presentation, Mark?
Yes, I do. I want my big flag.
You'll have your big flag, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ryba. Good evening, board members. Happy St. Patty's Day to everybody. We have construction update for the middle school and high school. A lot of things happening at the middle school. We get right into it. The composite metal panels. I don't know if you can see it real good here on the main part of the front building. Metal panels going in around here, parts are going in here. That whole area that's white right there will eventually be the Strongsville green going across that whole area that they're just beginning. Those same green composite metal panels are in the back of the building that no one can see, but they've done that process, and most of the back of the building, there's more to be done. But that's part of the exterior of the building that they're working on right now. This is the dry storage area of the kitchen. They have shelving to go in here, but the tile is in, the walls are ready, they're getting close, the ceiling grid is up. They have a few more things to do, but the kitchen, this is a huge area, a lot of space for, all the dry goods, cans, bread, whatever that goes into that area for the kitchen. This here is what the cafeteria currently looks like. It is actually a hub of activities. They put all kinds of materials, and there's, obviously materials for the contractors to work on. What you see in the background there is a radius wall that goes into the media center. You can see the outline of the main doorway going into the media center. This area here. There will be glass panels. Actually, it resembles the outside walls. Let me point. These squares here, the squares are also installed right here. They'll be installed right there. So you can see into the media center from the cafeteria area. And up above there are wood slats that are at a bit of an angle. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's got a great look to it on the renderings, if you've seen those. Painting is in the auditorium going on. It's a gray paint, but for an auditorium setting, you don't want a bright color, so this is, I know it's not much of it. I don't know if you make that out real well, but it's a gray paint that will be that's on in the walls of the auditorium. The auditorium ceiling has also been painted black, obviously for the effect, keeping everything nice and dark in there. The media center, casework is being applied in the work area where they keep a lot of materials and different things they use in the media center. This is the office area, I guess. The media center has these sort of floating clouds. It's a drop ceiling, but it's a partial drop ceiling. Let me point something out. They put these edgings on the drop ceilings, and there's a cloud here, a cloud here, and a cloud back there. There'll be gaps between the drop ceiling, so you can kind of look up into a black area. It has a neat effect in the media center. The media center stair railing has been installed. There's some cute areas. You can't really make them out too well, but I'll try to point them out. There's a sitting area right here, going up one level of stairs. Another sitting area here, going up another. And on the very edge, going down against the wall, there's larger steps. It's almost like seating built into the steps. We have a railing we need to add there in front of that so kids don't accidentally think it's part of the steps and go down and trip and fall. But that is, that's a neat little area for kids to just sit and study and read a book or whatever. So there's these neat little features that are starting to come out of that they're in the designs and just haven't seen myself until they start to take shape in the building. This is the Network Operations Center. The racks are going in. They're getting set for what will be a 21st century server you know, a network operations center versus in the basement of the old board building where we've been for years and subject to floods and other issues down there. So we'll get into the 21st century very soon. That'll be our main core of the entire district. We have fire control panels for the alarms, sprinkler system, smoke detection. The panels are installed. They obviously have some connections and wiring to be done, but things are moving along in that area. First floor paint, ceiling grid, casework continue to make steady progress. Second floor finishes are on schedule as well. Classroom doors, you'll see most of the doors, they're still wrapped in plastic here to protect the doors, just to make sure during the construction process, dings and scratches and dents do not happen. If anything happens, it's on them to fix. Until they finally turn the building over to us, those plastic wraps will be removed. This is the administrative support area on the second floor, but we have an exact duplicate on the third floor and also in the main office. This same kind of casework, large area, it's built really for two people. You can see the typing tray here, there's a typing tray here. Huge area. That's the same area you can see from outside looking in. There's all the filing space, storage space behind it. It's a great working space, great reception area into administrative offices. What's going to be next at the middle school? Late site work will continue to ramp up over the next several weeks. This includes sidewalks, mass excavation for permanent detention pond, and grading around the building. Terrazzo flooring for student dining, wood flooring for the gymnasium and the auditorium stage will be going in. Metal locker installations will begin sometime around mid-April. Stage rigging equipment will begin in a couple of weeks. Doors and hardware installations will continue, and learning wall installations in all the classroom spaces. We don't have a projector mounted to a wall in our classrooms. We have a piece of cabinetry that's rather large. It has to be constructed in each classroom. It's storage space as well as the whiteboard space, and the projector's mounted to that. The learning wall is actually movable. It takes quite an effort to move it because it's so large, but it can be moved, so the teachers have a choice of moving it to the opposite wall or, you know, east or west side of the room. They've allowed for data drops and electrical sources on both sides of the room, so they can be moved. It's not moved easily, and it does need to be recalibrated once you do move it, but it does give the teachers an option in case the sun shines in the wrong wall or whatever. It doesn't work on this wall kind of thing. The high school, how's the high school doing? This space right here, I'm going to show you 3 shots in a row. I was standing in the same spot. This was looking straight forward. This is in the upstairs above the entrance to the auditorium. This is where the band uniforms used to be stored. This is looking straight. This is looking to the left. This is looking to the right. This program is now our Play-Doh program. They have a lot of space up there. It's usable space instead of the band storage area that was very crowded. We have a new space coming for the band storage down in the choir band area. But this space here is now a very usable space and the good use for the kids who need that program. The auditorium, I think I've shown pictures of the auditorium before, but this is just a bright, wonderful area. It's actually a great classroom as well. As you can tell all the stuff on the stage. The kids are excited to have this for their classroom. But you can see the acoustical panels. You sort of see. The acoustical panels are up in the ceiling here. New speakers, new lighting system, all new seats, new paint. It's just a great, bright, wonderful space, and our kids they love it as a classroom, and it's a great place to show off our talented musical and also vocal kids. This is just a shot from the auditorium at the classroom space, how it's crowded, but there's a lot of kids in our band and orchestra. This is the entrance to the auditorium. It's just a bright, welcoming picture showing how, you know, they've really spruced up the outside with paint and lighting and fresh carpet and doors. It does a lot for the area. The new athletic lockers are being installed. This is, I believe, in the wrestling locker room. And here's more in the same locker room. Brand new lockers, paint, the bases, ceiling, etc. And this is the hallway filled with a few dozen more lockers to be installed, but they're on site. The locker rooms are being addressed in the next few weeks. These will be installed. In the wrestling room, up above, one of the issues and the concerns when we initially talked about moving the wrestling room to the weight room area was the low-hanging heating and cooling ductwork and some of the equipment, the fans and blowers. That has been removed. We now have this ductwork that comes in the side of the room, angles up right away, as you can see, and goes across. Here it is going all the way across, and this is in the center. Instead of maybe 7 feet where the ceiling space, we have at least 8 plus, maybe 8.5 feet of ceiling space. So it first of all, it helps with the humidity issue in the room. It helps with the ventilation issue. And it also just allows for more space for the kids to do all the exercises and stuff they do in a room. This will be a great space for many years. The wrestlers are excited to have this space. This is another piece of the wrestling room going down to the one side of the room. And what's next at the high school? They just did the bidding, and the bids came back for the site, outside site work, the parking lot work, and the bridge and parking lot repaving, et cetera. They also did a furniture bid. All site alternates were accepted. Full depth replacement of the loop road was included in that. Replacing the vehicular and pedestrian culverts as you walk in from the parking lot, the students walking into school or fans walking to a football game across that sidewalk, across the bridge, as well as the culvert that is underneath the road. That'll be completely replaced with this. We got very good pricing on our bid for the site work. And one of the alternates we threw in there was full depth replacement of the entire loop road, so the entrance and exit. That includes a cement apron at the entrance, so all the asphalt from the loop, from Lund Road meeting our asphalt, that issue will be completely corrected as we have a concrete apron right there, and it'll be a much better road. Actually, that road's been there for easily 40, 50 years. It's, full depth replacement, considering that is the main artery in and out of that building. It's a great call, and we had great pricing to do that job. Let's see, what else do we have? The furniture bids came in very favorable to us as well. We have enough in our furniture bid to get 56 classrooms full of furniture, including teacher desk and teacher workstations. It's kind of a teaching podium, thing they can stand at and teach the class with. It's a nice addition to the classrooms. So 56 classrooms of furniture at the high school will be completely replaced. This also includes all media center furniture that won't come in until probably February next year when they finish the media center. But it does include new cafeteria furniture that does need to be in before school starts in August. Also, the summer phase 6, we're in phase 5 right now. Phase 6 accelerated work because they're on schedule and they're trying to make sure we're ready for the start of school. There's some things they're going to start doing over the next couple of weeks. Mustang, that is in the main entrance of the building, that's going to be relocated here shortly over spring break. The various flooring demolition, like I think the main hallway, and there's other areas where they can start tearing up floor that is going to be torn up. They're going to get that up now, just to get it out of the way and done. And any issues, any cracks, any things we need to address or know about will be known in advance so we can get to that work sooner in the summertime. Also, the courtyard and demolition activities outside, they'll be working on getting rid of some of the brick that's been needing repaired for many years.
You can
So-
bring the Mustang back, though, correct?
The Mustang's going to the media center eventually. So that's in the design. I was told it's going to the media center. I don't know if it's going to the media center immediately, but they are moving the Mustang out of the way now. They're going to work on moving that now because it is a big job. It's going to take several pieces of equipment, et cetera, to accomplish that task. And with the students out of the way over spring break, it's a great opportunity to do it now.
Mark, I have 2 questions for you.
Sure.
Was there any thought given to concreting the pad in front of the school where the buses stop? In addition to the concrete aprons that you talked about on the loop road? Concreting in front where the buses align up and park because of the weight factor in there?
On the road itself,
Yeah.
no, that was not considered, no. We've talked about concrete in front of the building.
The expense of putting that kind of asphalt or concrete there would have been exorbitant.
I don't know. It might, if there is extra money, it might be worth looking at, just because when there's so many buses parked there, they tend to put a lot of weight on that area, stress it out, because that's where they sit.
Yeah, I do believe they're doing heavy-duty asphalt. I mean, it's,
Asphalt's asphalt, and it wears out with the winter. The other thing I wanted to emphasize, and you and I have talked about this, I think, last summer, with those brand-new, beautiful walls and color schemes, we need to emphasize and have a policy, maybe Richard and Jane can look at this, but no murals, no posters, no crap on the walls that's gonna wreck the paint job right after we just put a beautiful new school together in either the middle school or the high school. And I know the tendency will be the first year, oh no, we'll leave it alone, but then some art student will come along and say, wouldn't it be nice if we painted some trees on that wall? And somebody might say yes, and then it'll be wrecked and cost a lot of money to fix it. So I just want to emphasize, I think it's important that we take care of what we've done in there. So, not that I have anything against art, because I don't, but better that the trees be on a piece of paper or a canvas than on the beautiful new walls of the renovated high school.
Yeah, I've had that discussion with Mark Smithberger at the building. There is a procedure in place for that to control that. So I do believe he has that under control.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
I have a
Okay,
question too. And I'm surprised you didn't, oh, you finished, Duke, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
The bridge from the student lot to the school, is there plans for lights for that bridge as well, or was that not included?
Yes, actually, that was another item that it's going to be taken in the, I'm not sure if it's part of this bid package or another quote we got, but
It's
there
part
is
of this.
lighting for that bridge, yes.
Oh, good.
It's
Right.
part
There
of
will
the
be a
package.
two-headed, or I'm not two-headed. There will be two lamps on the light, one pointing toward the bridge, one pointing towards the sidewalk, so it'll be, that whole area will be well lit.
Okay, thank you.
And Mark, I want to say congratulations and thank you to you. The furniture, the 56 classrooms, the culverts, the loop road full depth replacement, we're actually taking the parking lot, the gravel lot that some people have parked on when they come to a football game, and we're turning that into student parking lot. We're adding about 85 spaces. The main gym PA system, which I understand a couple weeks ago broke. All those things were never part of the plan. Through great management, through great supervision, we were able to save close to $300,000 in our last bid package. Combined with other savings we've had for this overall project, we're just keep on adding more and more to this construction project, and we're squeezing every single penny out of every single dollar to get more and more for our community and for our kids. So great job, Mark.
Well, thank you. With Hammond, with RFC, with GPD, it's definitely been a team effort. George, and you're sitting in all those meetings. Definitely all part of, good going back and forth discussion. What can we do? How do we do it? What's important? What can we put off? We all keep asking the right questions, and we keep coming up with great answers. It's a team effort, but thank you very much. Just to, that is the end of the report for the construction update. The next item on the agenda for the business department tonight is an amendment to the GPD contract for their work to design the middle school turf. They were approved earlier for the high school turf, but since we are now looking really positive as far as the middle school program, we need a amendment to the architectural services contract to approve their services for middle school turf, and their fee for this would be $19,007. And we do need a vote on that issue.
So moved. Second.
Hey, I gotta ask first. First by Duke, second by Richard. Any discussion? Take a vote.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes?
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Excellent.
Thank you. The next item for business services tonight, at the high school, we have a security contract, and they're asking for an addendum to that contract to slightly increase their hourly rate, which has not been increased since we started the contract with them for 7 years. They are raising the rate per hour by, I believe, $1, $1.10. And this contract is something that is the parking lot fees we collect help pay for this contract. So it is not coming out of the general fund, it's coming out of the 018 fund for the high school. So I ask, be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent that the Board of Education approves the security service contract addendum for the services at the high school with U.S. Security Associates to modify the hourly rates as followed: straight time billing from $13.40 an hour to $14.50 an hour. This rate structure will be in effect, holiday premium billing, $19.75 per hour to $21.75 per hour. This rate structure will be in effect from March 11th, 2016 through July 1st, 2017. All services will be paid out of the parking lot fee revenues in the high school 018 fund.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Duke. Thank you, Richard. Any discussion? I guess I have a question. Have we bid this out, or, I mean, do we know that the rate we have here is a fair rate? I realize it hasn't gone up for a long time, but it is an increase of 8% or so. And have we looked at anyone else, or are they, is it?
The
Is
high
that
school's
work-
been satisfied with the work.
With the
and-
service?
With the service that they've gotten, and actually, what's also in here is besides the hourly, is the high school will be able to increase the number of hours of personnel on site, which will help with the morning arrival of parents and buses. So they've been able to add, I think, 2 or 3 hour person in the morning. So Mr. Smithberger and Mr. Breckner have researched this. They're happy with the services. It's been a good partnership, and we're recommending to continue on with them.
Okay.
And as Mr. Donnelly said, this is not a cost to the district. These services are supported through the parking fees that our students pay on an annual basis.
Are we gonna raise the fees now?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
We have a vote? Oh, go ahead, Richard.
Well, and we can anticipate the fees it will increase because we have the additional parking
Correct.
spaces.
Right. Okay.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. The final item on the business services agenda tonight is a gift. Brian D. Mascow donated a vintage A. Robert Paris professional wood clarinet in A to the Strongsville High School Orchestra program. The clarinet has an estimated value of $1,000. And if there are no further questions, that's the end of my report tonight.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like Erin Green, Director of Curriculum, to come up with her report, and she's going to start out with an update on our district report card. Erin?
Thank you. Okay, good evening. With regards to our district goal of student achievement, I'd like to talk first about our report card data. And I'm very pleased to share with you the results of our state report card. Typically, the report card comes out in the fall. This year it was delayed, so we just received it in February of this year. And again, the Ohio Department of Education puts out a school or a district report card for each district, and then school report cards. So I'm going to walk you through this relatively quickly, but I'm glad to answer any questions you may have, and I'm also going to show you the resource at the end where you can find additional information. This is our overall district report card, and you can see that all of the areas have a grade. They're small up here, but they're all A's and B's. There is one C in the K-3 literacy, which I'll talk about in just a minute. So for each of these areas, I'm going to go through what they stand for, how we as a district got this grade, and where we stand. You will notice that there are different areas that say component grades coming in 2016. That will be something new. They keep pushing the date back. But what that will do is take a weighted average of some of the components of each of those areas. So it won't be a straight average of an A and a B. So that will be interesting when we get our newest report card in the fall to see how that fares. The first area are our indicators, and you can see this is an indicator. We have a grade of an A. There are 33 possible indicators, and for all of those that are shown here, we met the mark. So what this means is our kids are passing the tests. So when we give them the air, last year it was the park, there's a set number that the state projects that we need to meet in passage rates. In all of these areas, third grade, reading and math, all the way through the high school, our students met that threshold and surpassed it. The one area in which we did not meet is a gifted indicator, and that's new this year. Now, I do want to point out how very close we were, and also there were 16 districts in the state of Ohio that met this indicator. That is all out of 609. So there are 3 components that you need to meet in order to have this indicator read met. The first one is, I'm not going to do that, gifted, the value added. Are we making gains with our gifted students? And that's that first box, and we did meet that. The middle one is our performance index, and this is the one we fell just very short. We need a 115. We had a 114.4. So 0.6 of a point is what kept us from being that 17th school in Ohio from meeting this. Gifted Inputs talks about our service and our delivery models. So overall, not met, but very, very close, and it's something to be proud of and something to, again, work toward in the future as well. You can see the performance index here shown on the right. We have a 95.4%, and this has to do with how high our kids are scoring on the tests. So not only are they passing, they're reaching the proficient mark, but they're making gains beyond that. Looking at our achievement, this is again the performance index. This is for the district, and this is showing that weighted score. So each kid, each score is assigned a value. When we have students that were untested, they were assigned a value of 0, so that doesn't help us. And then each level that they reach is a higher weight. So the higher we can get them to score, the more, obviously, the more knowledge they gain, and they also give us this higher weight on this index. You can see that we have a B, an 84.3%, and this is a performance index trend. It's challenging to make assumptions because of the tests changing every year and the way in which they're measured and the way in which they're reported. But you can see we stay right around the lower 100s. We're looking to, again, make gains for this next year. Our progress in the district. This is an incredible feat. Very, very proud of this from our students and our staff. You can see that we have 4 A's, straight A's across the board here. And this is how much gain the students are making. So it's not did they pass a test, it's where did they come in, how much did they grow? Are they making that growth and that progress? The subcategories, we have an overall growth, we have gifted students broken out, students in the lowest 20%, and let me just explain that very quickly. All students in the state, if you theoretically would line them up from the lowest performer to the highest performer, take that lowest 20%. So it may include some of our students and other kids from other districts. Those are the students we're focused on here, the lowest 20%. We took those kids and they made gains. And students with disabilities. That's also very exciting for us. It's been an area in which we, along with a lot of districts, have struggled. So these A grades mean not only did we make a year progress, because that would be a C, but we made more than a year's progress. So again, very exciting, very proud of the work the district has done. On the right, you see the graph here. What you want to see are green colors. Anything red is showing negative progress, negative growth. So dark green, light green, getting into the yellows, and then the oranges. Those indicate positive growth, and that's exactly what we are looking for and received. This is a quick representation here graphically of where we stand. The bubbles represent our subgroups. So the blue bubble, that's our overall student population. The red bubble, students with disabilities. The yellow are those lowest 20% of the kids that we talked about. And green is gifted. So theoretically, if all students scored really, really well, they would all be in that upper right-hand corner if they all scored proficient and at the highest level. Typically, you see these bubbles kind of all over the graph because we're not at a high PI, performance index, and we're not always at A's. Seeing these 4 way up at the top is really, again, it's encouraging, it's a really amazing feat, and exciting to see our students get that A in the performance index area. Gap closing, this is an area in which we received a B. Again, we're looking at subgroup data here. So it is small to see, but the bottom line is these red lines are the targets, and those are set by the state of Ohio. We look at all of the subgroups that we as a district have. So we have white and multiracial, African American, limited English, economically disadvantaged, students with disabilities, and those are all represented by a color. We want all of those colors, all those subgroups to meet that target line. In this case, we met all of them with the exception of students with disabilities. So this is looking again at the students, how they do with their annual measurable objectives. Do we have gaps in our general population and our subgroups? And although we're closing the gaps, we still have work to do there, but it's a different perspective of looking at our subgroup data. Graduation rate, we'll talk about in a minute. Those all met that target line as well. Our 4-year graduation rate, 94.9. What this is saying are the kids that entered high school in, would have been 2011. Those same cohort of kids, they follow them all the way through. How many of those kids graduated? And we have almost 95% graduation. The 5-year graduation rate is a B with the 94.6, and that's the same thing. You took the class of 2010 when they entered as freshmen. All of those kids, students with disabilities, every student is tracked. Do we have, or what percentage of them do we have graduating within 5 years? And that's our 94.6%. K-3 literacy, this is the area in which we received the C. I do want to remind you that a C means we made a year's growth. Oftentimes we look at that maybe a little more negative, and we absolutely want to increase that to a B or an A. But our kids, as they come into kindergarten and at the beginning of first grade and the beginning of second grade, we measure all of them diagnostically. And we say, where are they? Are they below level? Are they at level? Are they above level? And our goal is to take them from below level to at level. And so we're making progress. Kids are doing exactly what they need to make that year's growth. This is just the report of all of the buildings in the district, and they go through and rate them based upon their achievement, progress, gap closing, and then if they have a graduation rate or literacy. I do want to share with you, that's a lot of small data, but compiled together, our PI was 101.1, so our performance index, how well the kids are doing at each level. That ranks 55th out of 609 public school districts in Ohio. So that puts us in the top 9.03% in the state, which is really incredible, and I know we're very proud of that. Couple slides. I just want to show you previous year's data, just for comparative purposes, so you can see how far we've come. This was our report card the previous year, so 13-14. B's and A's, we had a C in the K-3 literacy. This is the area in which you want to focus our progress. Instead of 4 A's, we had A, C, C, and a D. Our representation here, you see a lot of that red and orange that we talked about, and the AC and the DC. So again, this was not last year's data, but previous year, 13-14. This is the bubble graph that we talked about. Again, we're not seeing them all at the top. They're kind of scattered throughout. This was the previous year prior to that. This is 12-13, and real quickly you can see we did not fare well. Lots of F's. We've come a long way since then, and because of the district's work, obviously the students and the staff and the OIP and our focused plan, really proud and really happy to report this data. If you're interested, all of this data is available on the State Department of Education website. You can look up any district, any building, and you can go to www.education.ohio.gov, or if you give me a call, an email, I would be glad to walk you through this or go through it a little more slowly and succinctly with you. Questions on the report card data?
I guess my only question is outstanding. I mean, especially when you compare year to year, really, really nice
Right.
work. There's a few areas that, obviously we still have to work at.
Sure.
And I assume the process of that would be we would incorporate that into the OIP and address it that way, and we would continue to advance, correct?
Absolutely.
That's correct. And one of the things, Aaron and I spent last Thursday and Friday, and Andy and Jenny were there as well. We met with representative teams from 3rd grade through 8th grade and took a look at each of the tests where we felt that there were, based on the data, there were areas of improvement. And we worked through a problem-solving process in the district to create action plans of what are we going to do to help improve in those areas. And I was proud of our teachers. They came up with phenomenal plans and I think the work's starting in a couple weeks or so with some of the grade levels. But yes, it's going to be a part of the OIP, but we've already started looking at those grade level teams, and they have plans of actions in place. And it's not just about, what I'm going to do in my classroom or my building, but it's about what are we going to do across the district for all 8th grade students in science or 7th grade students in math. And so that was impactful, and we're looking forward to putting those plans into action too, to help improve in those
It
areas.
seems like in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we're gonna have a huge advantage by having all of them in the same building, correct?
They are
So
very
that-
excited.
That makes,
Yeah.
that makes it like an easier target,
Yeah.
right? Instead of two different approaches, two different, processes. It seems
Correct.
that'll be hugely helpful. Duke?
Yeah, congratulations to all the professional educators that we have, and the students for applying themselves, and their parents for getting them to do their homework. As a non-educator, it seems to me that K-3 literacy is the foundation that you build from there. So that to me is an area where we really need to focus and get that grade up from a C to an A. That'll set a foundation, I think, for achievement all the way through the rest of the grades. I don't know, do you agree? I mean, you think that's?
I do. And that was based on 1 year's data. They implemented this 2 years ago. So we've gotten better at identifying students that potentially we could intervene with sooner. And I think our data is going to look even better next year. I think we are going to see that B or that A.
I'd like to make maybe a little comment about that. There are some districts that have an advantage over us when it comes to that K-3 literacy. I'm fortunate enough to have my child in a full-day kindergarten class. And that is something that this district at some point should consider and think about. It's a very costly decision. But when you can have a child, and if you think about a kindergarten teacher that has a half day, how many hours per day do they really have an opportunity to educate? Versus a child who's in a classroom all day. It's an expensive option. That's why we're up here. We have to balance financial prudence with student achievement. But if you want to start a child off correctly, I should say correctly, but give them as much advantage as other districts provide them, then we have to have these children in kindergarten here all day. My last comment is I want to say congratulations. Cameron, to your team and the administrators, to our teachers. I keep on repeating you all the time about being an elite district. If you look at the trend data from 14, 15, 16, if that's not proof positive that we're moving forward, and if we're, dare I say, we're truly becoming an elite district, I don't know what is. Our progress is straight A's. Year before, we had a couple C's in that. Just congratulations, great job. Keep going. Now you've set an expectation, Cameron, so now we're expecting more. So, great job.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Yes.
Again, congratulations to everyone. It was a team effort, I'm sure, and it shows. I just have two questions. One, obviously it's a report card. Do you feel it's a reasonable tool? We have so much conversation, we have so much, everybody has their opinion, their agenda, et cetera. It's not perfect. Is it a good enough tool to help us evaluate the job we're doing, or are there serious deficiencies that we should discount it?
I think at this point in time, it's the best thing that we have that is similar to every other district in the state. I do feel it's a 1 point in time snapshot. It was based on tests that were new, so there are some flaws. However, like I said, it was a universal measure across all 609 districts. We like to look at formative data, so what are they doing right now? How can we change our instruction as we're teaching so that we know where the kids are and how we can improve, rather than looking at data a year later and saying we could have, should have, we'll change it for now. But I do think it's reflective of a lot of the good things we have going on, and it's one piece of data that we use.
Okay. And again, that was my point, is that a lot of people have, whether I opt out, whether I don't opt out, there's all these different decisions. Is it a 95%, is it 110% or whatever? But if we assume that it's a good enough tool, and I agree, I mean, it's not perfect, but
Right.
it's useful to look at it and evaluate it. So I'm gonna put you on the spot and ask for a little moxie. Can we expect to be in the top 5% in the future, and when?
Mr. Ryba, I think that's for you.
No, I think obviously our goal as a district, what we've set was to be in the top 10% of the state, and obviously it's our goal to continue to improve. What we are going to have to do to continue to improve is to address our subgroups. That's really where we need to do a better job as a district, closing that gap. You know, as we settle down and our teachers are doing a great job of understanding the content standards and aligning their instruction. The tests are going to change once again on us. But yes, I feel the way we are trending, Mr. Micko, it's as we look at our Strong Schools 2020, which is to be in the top 10%, I think if we continue to trend the way we are, we're asking a lot of our teachers and staff and administrative team, and they're rising to the challenge. That is definitely a realistic goal in the near future.
Hear, hear.
Cameron, when you say address our subgroups, the subgroups are the gifted and then the 20%?
There's different, the subgroups, what I'm referring to is they look at our demographic data. So they'll say our students that are learning English as a second language. They're talking about our African-American students, our students with disabilities, our economically disadvantaged students. So we're showing decent progress as the slide up there. Okay. So as you can see that red line, and I can't read that far to see all the colors, but we are close to that red line in some areas. As Aaron mentioned in one of the slides, our students with disabilities. We are pleased to see that they are making growth because not all of our students will hit that line at a given grade level at a given time, but we want to see, are they making adequate growth in a year? But that's what we're working on, is right there. Looking at, I believe the blue, Aaron, is all students, is that correct?
That's,
Overall.
yeah, it's different.
Oh, it's
multiracial and.
Well, ignore it. That's right, they changed all the
Islander,
colors.
yes.
Yeah.
But we are looking of closing that gap between where all of our students are performing and where some of the subgroups are. And Aaron didn't go into some of the details, but there are charts which specifically measure out that our students with disabilities is the area where we're not making our annual measurable objectives. And that's an area that I know Mr. Trujillo and Aaron are collaborating on a plan to how we can systematically improve that across the district.
And my point to that is, what I don't want to happen is to address those, you have to allocate resources, right?
Correct.
And in the past, we've allocated a lot of resources towards the gifted program, or at times we've allocated a lot to our special needs, and we have to continue. We have an obligation to do that. What I don't want you to do is don't forget about the middle. Don't shift resources away from the 80 to fix the 20 to beat that grade. Sure. So, we got to be really careful with our balance so that we don't do that, because that's something that we could do. We could react to that, and then, then it gets out of balance, and the 80%, all of a sudden, we're shifting resources away from them. We got to be real careful with how we tweak this to make sure that we're just not beating the grade and taking resources away from the 80, right? So let's just be cognizant of that.
We completely agree, and actually the plan that they're working on is a plan that it's called Universal Design for Learning, which means what quality instruction can we provide in the general education classroom that's going to meet all students, and that's the focus. If we tend to focus our attention on what can we do to help this small group of students or this small group of students, or it's difficult to manage in a practical application. So what are some high-yield strategies that we can put in place that are good for all kids, no matter which one of those groups they fall into? And that's going to be the focus of our next 3-year strategic plan, and that's what Andy and Aaron are working on now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We've got a great team.
We do.
Okay.
Jane?
I was just going to say, I have all the textbook adoptions that we've had over the last few years have impacted, I would think, because it's aligning with the curriculum that's being tested. So we're supporting all our teachers with our proper curriculum materials. And then secondly, are these tests going to be all online now? Are they still doing paper and pencil? How are we doing our tests?
We as a district this year are doing paper pencil, with the exception of 4th grade, their social studies, 6th grade social studies, and 5th grade science is online. The rest, all the middle school, all the high school, and the math and language arts will be paper pencil, at least for this year.
And is that because we have a choice? Are we ever gonna come to a point where we won't have a choice? Or-
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
We did not have the infrastructure and resources at the high school and middle levels ready and available. We wanted to give our third graders every opportunity to ensure that that wasn't the limiting factor, especially on the language arts component. And then kind of start slowly, but make that leap into the technology component, which we do know is inevitable.
Great, thank you, good work.
You know, Ms. Ludwig, yesterday I was at Albion Center meeting with a couple different groups of students, and I shared this with Aaron and Vicki. It also takes time to have our students become accustomed to taking tests on the computer. And one of the groups that I was with said, I prefer paper and pencil tests. And sometimes we think our young students, middle school students, want everything technology-based. And so we are trying to, as we've done learning.com in grades K through 8, getting them used to, because it's a different type of format, it's a different type of assessment platform. So our students right now still prefer the paper pencil. We're kind of trialing the couple areas. But it's something that we definitely have to build in the skills, because we're concerned one day, as you alluded to, the state's going to come and say, no more paper pencil. It's all going to have to be online, and we're on track to be ready for when that day comes.
I know my daughter comes home, the automated ones, the computer ones are quite clunky at times. And at times they reboot and things happen in the middle, and it's it adds to the stress level as opposed to flipping pages, which I realize at some point we'll have to get away from it, but not until we have to.
Right, okay. Well, thank you. I'm going to continue on under the curriculum. Item number 2 under curriculum for your review is Exhibit J, the list of potential graduates for 2016. And this is contingent upon successful completion of all of their requirements. Item C3.
Hang on, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
On that list of potential graduates, I think we should flag the ones that have outstanding dues.
That's something the high school takes care of each year.
Well, obviously, they haven't taken that good care of it. We have the big deficit that we have.
No, they take care of, in terms of, there's deadlines that are posted in the high school, it's in Mr. Smithberger's newsletters, that here are the dates for the fees or you will not walk.
Okay, but I mean, we're approving the whole list tonight.
Correct. It's a routine item that anytime we go through graduation, the senior class is brought to the board to approve the entire senior class. And then what happens after that is Mr. Smithberger, as high school principal, has to attest that they've met all requirements for graduation, met all requirements to walk. So the high school guidance department and he as principal work with these students and families to determine who will actually graduate and who will actually have the opportunity to cross the stage based on the fees.
Okay, and the fees are part of that?
The fees are part of it, yes. The fees do not hold a diploma. The fees hold the opportunity to walk at commencement ceremony.
And the transcript?
And the transcript's correct.
Okay.
All right. Item C3 is a recommendation for German textbooks to be adopted for the high school German courses. And along with that, we have item C4. It's a recommendation for the AP Art History textbook adoption. And these are exhibits K and L. These materials were reviewed through the expertise of our teachers, as well as our PTAs, and community input was sought. Item C5, a recommendation to approve the middle school student planner. And we have item 6 as a correction to what we approved on February's agenda, the adoption of the middle school curriculum guide. On page 16, there were just a few errors we wanted to ensure got corrected. One being a name change. It was Family Consumer Science course, and now it will be Family Consumer Science Healthy Foods. The rationale is that provides us additional funding that we can obtain for utilizing that course syllabi. We have Career Connections added to 8th grade as an encore, and in place of that, the academic lab was deleted. So again, those were all on page 16 of the middle school curriculum guide that was adopted at February 18th meeting. Item 7, C7, a recommendation for a methods placement for 2 students from Baldwin Wallace and for them to be placed with 2 different teachers at Albion Middle School for what amounts to the month of April. And lastly, we have a student-teacher placement. This would be a dual placement at both the early learning preschool for a portion of the time, and then Sarar Elementary for the remainder of the time, which would be October through December roughly, and that would satisfy the dual placement requirement of the college. Are there any questions on those items?
No, but I have a comment.
Sure.
I would like to encourage anybody that's watching and parents out there that would like to get involved with reviewing these textbooks. I recently reviewed a couple of them. I know Carl and I took a look at one. I took a look at another one for social studies in particular. And it's very important, I think, that we know what materials our kids are looking at to understand the world. And the example I use is that there was a social studies text a couple years ago that had to do with Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and my kids were taking it at the high school, and when I read some of the passages in there, they were totally incorrect. It's not what happened, and I knew because I had been there. So it's important that a lot of our textbooks tend to have slants to them of one particular persuasion or another. It's a good thing for parents to get involved and to take a look at them, to provide feedback to our curriculum department to let them know that we want a fair and balanced accounting of history. I mean, it's not so much math or the hard sciences. I'm talking about other things that may have the option for an author to be particularly persuaded one way or the other. So I'd encourage any parents that are interested out there, in particular our PTAs, folks that are really involved, it's a good thing to get a hold of one of the new books, and Aaron can help you do that when they're up for adoption. You can take a look at them, stop by, read through some of them, and then provide your feedback to our curriculum department to let them know what you think of the books. So just wanted to pass
Thank
that
you.
on.
One comment, and I just want to thank Tom Zirko, who came up and looked through some of the books for us, our economics book and social studies, some of the books for that exact reason. And he compared them to some text to make sure that they were, that he was, at least, he didn't have any exception to them. But he called me afterwards and we talked about some of the books, and it worked out great. And I think the more parents, as Duke said, to get involved with that, the better off we'll be, so that we'll understand it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Next, Andy Trujillo, Director of Special Education, will come up for his Student Services Report. Andy?
Good evening, members of the board. I have 4 items for you tonight. The first one is an annual routine item, and that is a recommendation to approve extended school year program for students with disabilities. This is a 2-3-week session, 3 days a week, for this program to be held at Chapman Elementary School. The next 2 are newer items. The first one is Medina Creative Accessibility. Medina Creative Living and Housing is right in the heart of Medina. This is an exciting opportunity that's new for our young adults, high school kids. They have a great setting where they have small housing and a greenhouse and a doggy daycare and a house barn, and the kids get to go there either during the day, or some kids, as they get older, you actually go there and they live there, and they learn real adaptability skills and get job experience. I went to go visit there in the fall, spent a day there getting a tour. A couple of our other staff members have gone there a couple other times, so we're really excited. It's a way to kind of expand our opportunities for our young adults out of our high school. That contract is on Exhibit M, and we actually have one young lady that is eagerly awaiting your approval. She's all set. So the next 2 I put on here so that you can see the work done by Special Education Supervisor Bethany Britt. Took the initiative and negotiated these contracts down with Educational Alternatives. The first one is through the Day Treatment ECHO program, negotiated that down to $40, used to be $45 a student. And then the next one is much more of a significant negotiating measure that she took, and that is she took the transportation cost per kid down to $20 which is very significant in the educational transportation world, as you know. I think the original cost was around $45, so over half. And that
She must be
concludes-
using your negotiation skills.
I'm sorry?
She must be using your negotiation
Yeah,
skills.
she's learning from the best, right?
Exactly.
All right. Any questions?
No, we're good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good commendation, Andy. You and your folks are doing a great job.
I appreciate
Really
that.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And finally, Jenny Pelko, Assistant Superintendent, will share with you the Human Resource Report.
Thank you, Mr. Ryba. Good evening, everyone. Under Human Resources this evening, under E1, I have one resignation of Jerry Dangler, our mechanic. I have 2 retirements, Susie Becker and Bonnie Cavaran. We'll recognize them in our April board meeting, May board meeting. Under E3, we have a recall from our reduction in force list of Elizabeth Dixon, bus aide. Under E4, I have the appointment of a non-certificated custodian, Patricia Walker. I also have the appointments of certificated tutors. And continued under E4, I have appointments of 2 certificated substitutes as well as 3 non-certificated substitutes. Also under E4, we have the appointment of Cheryl Bezub, coordinator. She will be coordinating our extended school year program that Mr. Trujillo talked about. I do need to make a change to her stipend. It will be it should be $6,000 instead of $5,000. There is extended weeks that we added this year, and it is a huge task for her to coordinate this. We have many teachers and many aides that are involved in this program, and that is paid through the IDEIA grant fund.
And that's Cheryl's?
Cheryl,
Okay,
yeah, Bisa
just want to make sure.
is the coordinator of that whole ESY program. Under E4 continued, we have certificated supplemental contracts. We have some to finish up our 2015-2016 school year, coaches, and a spring faculty manager. And we also have, for your approval, the 2016 through 2017 coaches for our fall sports. I also have 1 non-certificated supplemental contract for a spring faculty manager at the high school. We also have the appointments of non-certificated supplemental contracts for our fall sports for football. Under E5, we have 2 changes in status, Deborah Ina and Joyce Smith. Under E6, I have 2 changes of hours for non-certificated. And under E7, I have the contract recommendation of Rebecca Meyer. Under E8, for your approval, we have stipends that we will be reimbursed for these stipends through the Cuyahoga County Educational Service Center. We have a group of teachers and also Mr. Tamino, assistant high school principal, that are participating in the Martha Holden Jennings Writing Center workshop to help students transition from high school writing to university writing. So it's a great opportunity for them. Under E9, I have the following family medical leaves of certificated staff, as well as a few for non-certificated staff. Under E10, we have 3 injury leaves for non-certificated staff. And under E11, I have the following volunteer chaperones for your approval. And that concludes my report, unless anyone has questions.
Thank you very much.
There is no technology report tonight, so with that, that ends the superintendent's report.
Yeah, I do have one question for Jenny. I've noticed sometimes it's good, it's not good to ask questions you don't even have a clue what the answer is, but I'm gonna ask this one.
Uh-oh.
I just see,
On the spot.
in front of some of our properties, I see bus drivers needed signs, right?
Right.
So is that a critical need, or what, are we, is there anything we wanna
Sure.
say out there that we need bus drivers, or?
Sure. Maureen, help me out if I'm saying anything that's not correct. But we are really looking for actually substitute bus drivers. It takes a while to get them trained to be bus drivers. But we have signs all in front of all of our schools across the district looking for for bus drivers. We are also having a job fair on April 30th at the high school. We're looking for substitutes for all of our non-certificated staff, so bus drivers, aides, monitors, We continue to struggle to fill these positions when our certificated staff is out. They are substitute positions, but we are anticipating potentially some retirements in our transportation department, which we will need to fill with drivers. So we're trying to be proactive to find some people that we can get trained so we can start the year off right and make sure we have good people in place to get our kids to school. So,
Excellent. What are the
Yeah.
qualifications that someone who wanted to be a bus driver, wanted to apply, what would they have to have?
well, for the job fair, I mean, we just take their information. They do need a CDL, thank you, CDL to drive, but we do all their training for them to get them ready for, like I said, it takes a while to get
Okay.
trained to be a
All right.
driver.
Maureen, they have to pass a T8 physical, right?
Yeah, there's a
And
few
there's
other,
there's a handful.
yeah, there's a few things.
And a
but-
background check.
Background check,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. So,
I have a question for
Mhm.
Cameron, I guess. These injury leaves, are there any safety practices that have to be revised or relooked because of these injuries?
Every time there's an injury leave, Ruth Ann Franzik and Kelly Quinn review those. Depending on what happens, there's additional safety training that needs to be gone through for the employees. And we look at trends based on the injuries that happen with these employees. It's just unfortunate accidents. There was no trends or, with these employees or with the safety conditions of the buildings that we would need to make any corrective, sweeping corrective actions, just the additional safety training that is required based on the incident that happened.
Okay, and we get the word out to everybody else if it's a preventable accident, like say, this is what happened, be on the lookout for it, or?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And for example, not that these were the cases, but if somebody slipped on the stairs and that's why they were injured, we send our maintenance crew out there to look at, is the treads where they need to be? Do we need to replace any of that? Why did that happen? So those are the things we take a look at the area to see if was it just an unfortunate accident or was there something that was preventable that we could address as a district?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to report on Polaris. Richard?
Thank you, Mr. Naso. I do want to announce that next week, Wednesday, March 23rd, from 9 a.m. to noon, Polaris will have their annual career fair that they do in conjunction with the County Jobs and Family Services. There will be over 75 employers. The last time I got an update, I think it was about 83 different employers that'll be at the job fair. In fact, there's going to be the Cleveland Hilton, Quadex, and Swagelock. Individually, they have 350 and 75 current job openings. And that's just 3 employers, but there'll be over 80 employers at that job fair. You're encouraged to be interview ready. Bring a resume, and be ready for an interview. But again, that is Wednesday, March 23rd from 9 a.m. to noon at Polaris Career Center. Some announcements, from some good news. This is the time of the year that the students go to their various competitions, and the Polaris Baking and Pastry Arts students competed in the Family Career and Community Leaders of America Regional Culinary Competition. 15 schools, nearly 100 students took part in the regional skills event. 5 Polaris students won regional gold medals and qualified to compete in the Columbus Institute, the next regional competition. 2 juniors won gold level for their desserts. As a Polaris board member, I take my job very seriously, and at the last board meeting, we sampled their fare, and it was excellent. And then in addition, another announcement that Polaris can be very proud of. In addition to the high school program, Polaris has an extensive adult training program, education program, and the adult early child care program was recently granted the coveted 1-year option. And what that means is if you're in that program, you complete that program, and you earn your child development associate credential, you automatically get 30 college credit hours towards an associate degree. So you can, it's similar to the College Credit Plus type programs, but you can complete this program at Polaris, and as part of that program, you automatically get those 30 hours of credit so that you can go to a community college and continue your education, which Polaris is the only program right now who has received that designation. So it's quite an exciting thing. And that completes my Polaris report.
The legislation.
Obviously, on Tuesday, we had the primary election. So hopefully everyone did take the opportunity to vote. If you didn't take the opportunity to vote, I encourage you during the general election to exercise your civic duty and vote. As far as the school district is concerned, regardless of how the final election turns out, we will have a change in leadership at the Ohio House for our area, both in state rep and state senator. So we'll find out in November who our new reps will be for that, and the board will continue to work with whoever is elected for our interests here in Strongsville. And then the House Education Committee, I wanted to highlight, they heard sponsor testimony for House Bill 383, and if passed, the legislation would require 1/2 unit of economics and financial literacy in the high school social studies curriculum, because they just can't leave well enough alone. Strongsville, we already have those kinds of things in our high school curriculum, so I don't anticipate, if this passes or fails, it will make a big difference for us in Strongsville. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Richard. Jane, you want to move on to city council?
Actually, Duke has the city council report this evening.
Duke.
I do. Some of the news is a little dated because, of course, our Post got the stuff out last week in Saturday's paper, but the city, like the schools, facing tough budget decisions, particularly in the city. It's on replacement safety vehicles, some police vehicles, fire vehicles, those kinds of things. Street repair is always a big concern at the city, and they talked a lot about that, as well as the storm sewers and associated potential for flooding. So that's on the minds of our mayor and our city councilmen, and they're looking hard at their budget to make the right decisions for the city. There is an admissions tax under consideration. If anybody didn't know that, they're talking about raising a tax of 3% on any venue that charges an admission fee, such as the theaters in the mall or the ice rink, perhaps the Holiday Inn down, on 82 there, when they have a function where there's a price to get in, and perhaps like Mashad, some of those other places. Anytime they have a venue where there's an admissions price, 501(c) organizations are exempt. The schools are exempt from this, so our football games, our athletic activities, et cetera, will not be subject to the 3% tax. It was on the second reading the last time I was there, so the next time up it should be voted one way or the other. If you have an opinion on it, please let your councilman know. Let's see, there was a request for a sign to be put up on 82 out in front of what the old Giant Eagle used to be, which is being turned into kind of a fancy, I want to say a mini mall type thing. They're called the Strongsville Commons. There's going to be several new new businesses in there. DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, I think. Avita is moving in there. A Core Life, which is kind of an organic restaurant, and The Rail, which is another restaurant right next door. Some of the things that are going in there, at least, but in keeping with the aesthetics of our city, the city council voted down the request for a big sign on 82. So they're watching out for our best interest to try and keep our city as uniform and good looking as it already is. So that concludes my city council report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Duke. Jane, you want to PTA and student achievement?
Sure, if you want to skip over your Strongsville Education Foundation.
Yeah.
Okay. The PTA Council has been extremely busy for the last month. They sponsored an assembly called Think Kindness that was presented by Brian Williams for all students in grades K through 6. And in conjunction with this, they started a project for their acts of kindness to collect used athletic shoes. And so far, they've collected nearly 1,000 pairs of athletic shoes from the elementary students of Strongsville. So that's, and these shoes are going to be sent to children in Africa so that they will have shoes to be able to go to school. The council also sponsored an assembly by Todd Waits, who is a 2-time cancer survivor and Strongsville graduate, for the middle schools about inclusion. The PTA Council will be awarding 10 $500 scholarships to graduating seniors that are going to be selected by the high school local scholarship committee that we have assembled up at the high school. They donated $2,000 to the Excellence in Athletics campaign for turf. So does that make them a gridiron? I'm not sure what that qualifies them for on the tier of gifts. So we thank them for that. Safety Town is taking applications for volunteers. If you have a student that is in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade and they'd like to volunteer and assist with Safety Town, which is for children entering kindergarten, the application is available at www.strongsville.org, and they must be accepted in person at the rec center on April 30th from 12 to 1. So if you have a student interested in that, go to the website, download the application, and then you have to go to the rec center on April 30th. And the spots do fill up quickly because it's a fun thing. They reminisce about, and we have such a cool Safety Town now. That was sponsored by all our community members as well. The next Rockin' at the Rec, there's a little twist coming, on April 8th is Bring a Friend Night. We've never done this, so every student in grades 6 through 8 may attend and bring a friend that is also in grades 6 through 8 from another city. So if you play soccer in a travel club, or if you have a dance class and you have friends that don't happen to live in Strongsville, you can share the Rockin' at the Rec experience with them. Tickets will be sold on Thursday, April 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. You and your guest will need a ticket. Those are $5 at the rec center, or you can get them for $10 at the door the night of the dance. The dress code will apply to all students attending the dance, and the theme is neon. Special note, don't bring glow sticks. They will be confiscated. Glow sticks are not permitted at the rec center for this event. And the dance hours are from 6:30 to 9. And for more information, you can look on the PTA website or contact Laura Housum or Robin Micko. And this is the last dance for our current 8th graders. So if you want to go out with a friend, you can have fun at the dance, and all the pizza and soda you can drink. And then a final note is After Prom is the first weekend in May, and it's an event hosted by the high school PTA for juniors and seniors of the high school after prom, starting at 11 o'clock, and they're in need of volunteers. So if you'd like to attend After Prom, and the theme is Viva Las Vegas, so it's always a fun time, and there's gambling with fake money. And so that is our PTA Council report.
Student achievement?
Oh, student achievement. Oh, exciting. This month I'm highlighting the high school, and the high school, I mean, there's so much going on at the high school. It's really hard to pick one spectacular program, but something that's a little more out of the ordinary. On February 12th, Mr. Castle's non-Western studies students took their class to a whole new level and visited the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda through a virtual classroom and a live Google Hangout in the newly renovated little theater. So they learned about the genocide and everything that happened in Rwanda, and it was a very eye-opening experience for them, and because this really, they couldn't relate until they saw it come to life for them on the screen. So it's just something new and innovative, how we're taking advantage of the technology and all the opportunities for our students. So that's our student achievement.
Nice job, Jane, thank you. As far as the Strongsville Education Foundation, there wasn't a meeting since our last meeting. They're still pushing. They've got their big event coming up, Jockeys and Juleps, on Saturday, May 7th, for the Kentucky Derby date. It's a lot of fun. I know they're selling tickets, they're selling horses, sponsorships. They're looking for help on that stuff, but it is a blast, and it's not to be missed.
Prizes for the best hat, just,
Yeah.
throwing it out there.
Good stuff. So that'll be a lot of fun. So that's Strongsville Education Foundation. They continue to do new work, great work. So let's move into the board committees. Finance Committee meeting, we had one on 3-3, but we discussed it at the last board meeting, I believe, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, okay. Facilities, George, there was we had a facilities committee
We had a
meeting
meeting
yesterday.
last night. We reviewed the 30-year plan and what our proposed steps are going to be. Put a plan of action for the next 4 to 6 months together. Our next meeting will be in here, the new administrative offices at the old Zellers Elementary Building, and it will be on April 20th. So,
You know, one of the things different now with this facilities committee meeting is, I remember back when we talked about the bond issue and we were trying to determine the location, whether it should be at the center location or whether it should be at the high school. And we'd bought that property, I don't know how much we paid for the property for the high school, and we didn't know what we had. We literally didn't know what we had. One of the reasons why the middle school ended up at center was because we didn't know exactly the wetland situation, we didn't know the soil situation, we didn't know how much acreage, there were so many open questions. It was like, we can't throw this up and put it at the high school, and it was like 5 years ago, right, when we were talking about that. And we just didn't know what we had. We've already gone through the Sarar property that we own, and we went there, and because we're thinking in that 30-year plan, maybe there'd be a new middle school there at some point, we had core samples done.
Elementary school.
Elementary school, excuse me, elementary school. We didn't want to scare anybody. But I mean, we you know, this facilities, hot scoop, yeah. But the facilities committee had questions. We looked at the 30-year plan. What don't we know? We need to have some core samples taken. So we did. Now we know that we can build an elementary school there if we so choose on that property. So that's the difference, and that's the kind of the impact that this committee's having, where we are, and we're going to continue to survey all the properties that we have. We're going to walk them, we're going to look at them, and we're going to know exactly what assets we have and what they can be used for and what they can't be, and whether those properties have a future in our district or not. So I mean, it was really a cool step, considering where we've been at times. So it was a neat meeting, and we got a great group of citizens who have unique base knowledges about their specific fields who are helping us out on that. So I thought that was really cool and worth noting. Policy committee? Nothing.
We still have not met, and we are eagerly awaiting our next meeting.
So was the world.
I think that's next week in Disney World, I think. Is that right?
That's for George.
George.
That's for George, yes, okay. That brings us to our consent calendar. We have one change, item 11E4, that stipend moving from 5,000 to 6,000. Other than that, we adopt all these items with an asterisk and one vote. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Duke.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Still went.
Enjoy one more week.
One more week.
This is it?
This is it?
This is
Oh, wow. Goes so quickly. Can I have a vote?
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Rosen?
yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
That brings us to Board of Education and other. Do we have any other?
Yeah, I will, but go ahead. Oh, I just wanted to remind people that the Strongsville Athletic Boosters are going to be having their golf outing again this June, and so they're taking sign-ups. I know we have some stellar golfers on our panel here. So look for information about that, or you can go to the athletics webpage, and they have that. But you can sign up as an individual golfer or as a foursome, and they're looking for whole sponsors and anybody else. It's a good fundraiser and a great time to get together with your fellow Mustangs. So.
Excellent. Good point. All right.
We'll see if we can get our, the foursome we just had at the
Chili
Chili Open foursome.
Chili.
See if we could.
Yeah, it'll be at Mallard Creek. It'll be a little bit better surroundings than at the Chili Open.
Jane, do you know the date on that?
Yes, it is. It's Friday, June 17th.
Okay. And where can we get applications and things like that?
I have one right here if you want one,
Take
or
one.
you can go on to the Athletic Boosters website at the Strongnet.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. All right. Meeting notices. Unless somebody has some other? No other. April 7th, we have another meeting, and we have another one. The following will have to be April 21st. They're all right here.
Same bat time, same
Bat
bat channel.
Exactly. We do have need for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. For the purpose of reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
What he said, so moved.
Negotiations, we're good.
We're still seconded.
We'll move in at 9:15.
We gotta take a vote.
We already did.
Colonel Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Miko?
Yes.
Mr. Naso?
Yes.
Mr. Grozan?
Yes.
Mrs. Ludwig?
Yes.
Motion passes and
Nine-
9:15.
9:15. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy
Have a great
Easter.
spring break, everyone.